Are you a business owner that could use just one more customer? Those empty tables, vacant appointments, idle employees, and expired merchandise are missed opportunities. What if there were a community that connects you to high-value and motivated customers, giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace and increasing your revenue? Introducing Partners One. You keep doing what you do best, taking care of your customers, and we'll do what we do best, sending you new customers to take care of. Call us today to find out how Partners One can work for your business.
Welcome to the Rocket Right Show, starring Hurricane Betsy Barnes and Dr. K. Solar. Two busy blondes with their fingers on the pulse of all things Louisiana. Events, health, leisure, entertainment, and more. It's the Rocket Right Show. And now, here's Betsy and Kay.
And welcome. It seems like a long time since we have been able to sit down and do a show, and that's really been because of Hurricane Ida. And then also Hurricane Nicholas that turned into a lesser event. But we are reeling in South Louisiana and actually into New York and New Jersey because Hurricane Ida was an uninvited guest who just didn't seem to want to leave the United States unscathed. So for all of you that have been devastated, touched, or impacted in any way by Hurricane Ida, we have someone here who is going to help you get the help that you need and also accept some help if you are willing to give it. And so we're going to be talking in just a moment with Judd Johnson. He's Executive Director of Volunteer Louisiana and the AmeriCorps program for the state of Louisiana that is a clearinghouse for all things volunteer efforts. And we're going to be talking with him in just a minute. So thank you for coming, Judd, because
thank you for having me.
He's the man with the plan, and he's got the connections to help people get what they need. And then also we're going to be talking with John Roberts and Michael Adler. They have a company that they have founded based in Metairie called Mariposa Technologies, and they have a very unique digital tool that helps farmers, specifically hemp farmers, and have invested in a partnership with Texas A&M on how to help expand the actual measurement of THC levels of the hemp product. And we're going to learn a little bit about that and that industry in just a minute. And then we're also going to be talking about crisis communication, not only for your business, but also for your family and organizations with Vicki Little, Talent 360. Vicki is our go-to guru on anything having to do with search engine optimization, websites, social media. She really is an extraordinary resource for us, and she's done a phenomenal job for Rocket Right. And then Jay Hover is going to be here talking about Red Stick Social and some of the things that they're doing to raise money for organizations that are helping feed, clothe, house, and support musicians through yet another difficult time. So as if COVID were not enough, Judd, in the last year and a half, as if COVID were not enough. We just had to, receive a few more storms, some other uninvited guests, hard freeze. So you've been really busy, and for a man who's had so much to do, you have relatively very little gray hair.
Well, it's still early in this. It's still early in this process yet. I saw somebody shared a cartoon on social media. Somebody peering out their window, wondering what part of the Book of Revelations is going to appear today. You're right. There's a lot of things going on in the atmosphere, from COVID to, and you think go back to last year when we had not only a pandemic but multiple hurricanes that hit Southwest Louisiana, and now we're seeing that again, multiple hurricanes and a very active hurricane season. People are already reeling and reeling again from a double punch. Like you said, fortunately, Nicholas seems to be a little bit less than anticipated, but it's still early with that. But Ida did enough damage on its own to.
Yeah, it appears to be the worst hurricane in Louisiana history. So many people have been affected, and actually, Dr. K. Solar, my beloved co-host, is not here with us because she was not able to get out of Nashville to come because of Hurricane Nicholas and flights being canceled and things. So I'm flying solo, so thank you for helping me be my wingman.
Well, absolutely. And look, we were talking about Nicholas not being as bad as anticipated, but we were delayed getting here because streets are flooded here with flash flooding. So it never stops, it seems.
So I'm thinking about buying a P-Row. If anybody has one, I'm thinking about that.
Good
something
investment.
without a motor. Yeah, just,
Good investment.
paddle here and there, to the store and whatever. So Volunteer Louisiana, under the office of Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser.
Yes.
I have the privilege of seeing some of the work that you do. And, you know, you've come on the show quite a few times, and you've talked about the 3 different main things that Volunteer Louisiana does: certifying volunteers, recruiting volunteers. You're expanding into high schools to try and get more students to get that certification on their high school diploma, because they've had training and they know how to react in a disaster to be supportive. But really, today, I want you to share what you're doing to help people with Hurricane Ida. And let's focus first of all on anyone who needs help and groups that are helping. Now look, please get a pen and a piece of paper and write this down. We're going to put it on our Facebook for Rocket Right Entertainment. We're going to share it in different ways and also on our website. But Volunteer Louisiana is a great resource, and you can go to volunteerlouisiana.gov. So, Judd, share us some of the ways that anybody who's listening and watching can help somebody that they love or know, or even a stranger, because we all need help.
Sure. Well, we'll start with folks who need help themselves, and we know that there are a lot of them right now.
Yes.
In the southeast part of the state. At volunteerlouisiana.gov, if you go to our homepage, you can click right on there. It'll take you to a page of survivor resources. And those are updated constantly, but the big ones right now, of course, anybody who needs information, 211 is the best thing to do. That's the easiest thing. Easy to remember, 211, dial for any information that you need if you've got your telephone with you. One of the big things right now that we're seeing is the need for property owners needing help with debris removal, tarping of roofs, mucking and gutting homes, etc. There is a hotline called Crisis Cleanup. I'll share that number, but it's also on our website. All this is on our website, but I'll share the individual pieces as well. The number for Crisis Cleanup is 844-965-1386. Again, that's 844-965-1386. If you're a property owner who needs help with any of those issues that we just talked about, you can call Crisis Cleanup. They'll put your name into the system, and then all of the nonprofit organizations that are involved in response and recovery can go in and pick up those cases and get folks the help that they need. But the need is enormous.
How many people right now have contacted, just a kind of a round number?
There are about 10,000 individual cases right now, and then some of those cases are household specific. Some of them need multiple things, right? Some of them need tarp and debris removal and muck and gut. So those are multiple work orders. But we've got about 10,000 cases in the system right now. Of those, I would say roughly 2,000 are closed. That means there's still 8,000 people in need, and those are just of the ones who have registered in Crisis Cleanup. We know that there are still others who haven't had that yet, but that just gives you some sense of scale of what the need is, and then the amount of effort that it's going to take to get there. There's some challenges, just like we had last year. We talked about this last time I was on your show. You've got areas in need that have been devastated, and so the infrastructure to support volunteers and volunteer housing in areas that don't even have power yet is tough. So that creates some barriers, but we're seeing more and more organizations come in, more and more volunteer opportunities pop up to help those survivors.
So if you're a member of a church group, a Rotary, a Chamber of Commerce, a ministry, your Sunday school class, your Boy Scout troop, you can come and volunteer to help, and we need more people to come help, but we need it in a coordinated way so they actually know where to go.
Absolutely. You want to make sure that if you have an organization that you're already a part of, then by all means go and volunteer with them. That's, you want that affiliation and continue that relationship. But if you're not sure where to volunteer, you can go to volunteerlouisiana.gov. You can register on our site. We push out volunteer opportunities every day to folks who are on our site. We also push it out on social media as well. So unaffiliated individuals or groups, like you mentioned. Hey, I got a call today from a group that wanted to come down and volunteer, and I was able to connect them with an organization that's capable of receiving them. So the volunteer needs are there. If you're not sure where to go, again, volunteerlouisiana.gov can be your one-stop shop. We can help get you connected with those organizations on the ground because they all do need assistance.
And don't show up expecting that they're going to give you gloves and everything. Bring your gloves, bring your tools, bring your wagon, bring your shovel, whatever you have, bring it because you might need it.
No, it's a great point.
Yeah.
That's right. And Equipment it can sometimes be a challenge getting
Yes.
it there. There's not really the support infrastructure. We have some people showing up in campers, which is great. They're self-sufficient, because housing is limited. But bring all that you can, but the need is there, and especially for local volunteers. I will say that I was in Houma on Saturday and visiting with some of the groups there, and part of the challenge is that so many people have been displaced,
Right.
but they're really looking for those day volunteers because there's not the support infrastructure there to house them. They're looking for people locally who can come, drive in for the day, and make a difference. Even if you can only do it one day, it makes a huge impact.
Sure. Now, we only have a couple of minutes, but I think it's important for everybody to know that this week, Lane Hardy, American Idol winner, Louisiana ambassador for Louisiana Office of Tourism, put on an online concert, and the money raised is going to Volunteer Louisiana. And that is so important to bring national attention to the fact that we're going to need help for months. About 9 parishes are like a third world country now. They have nothing. They have no
Yes.
homes, no infrastructure, very, very little. What can people do and share with their relatives and their friends from across the country and around the world? What do we need most of all to help everyone?
Well, just like we were talking about with volunteers, if you have a connection with an organization already, or maybe your church is affiliated with a church, by all means do that. And if you're connected with a church and they're asking for items and you're able to get it there, then do that. But we want to make sure it has a place to land, just like with volunteers.
Right.
If a truck shows up and there's nowhere to put it, then it can create more challenges. So if you don't have that and you're looking for a place to land and you're not going to give donations, cash is always welcome, because the need is not going to be now, but it's going to be into the future once we
Right.
get into long-term recovery. You mentioned the Lane Hardy concert. That was fantastic.
It was, and you can still give on Lane's website. If you go to Lane Hardy, everybody knows Lane Hardy. If you go to Lane Hardy, you can still donate, and there's also a tip. So if you want to give more than anything else, you can go to Volunteer Louisiana. It goes to the Volunteer Louisiana Foundation, but cash is needed for sooner and later recovery,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, it's needed now, but really where the challenges come, and that's what the foundation fund is really set up for primarily, is long-term recovery. After the initial interest kind of wanes, the media is gone.
Kind of like what's happened in Southwest Louisiana in
That's right.
Calcasieu and Cameron Parish.
That's
the
right.
cameras left, and people still aren't completely whole.
Absolutely. And that's the challenge. And that's when your volunteer base starts to dry up. That's when your donations start to dry up because it's not current and in the news. And so funds like this go to help that long-term recovery. And that's where the most expensive part comes in, right? That's when you're
Yes.
rebuilding homes. That's when you have to buy all the materials to get people back and get them in their home and get them whole. So the need is going to be there not just now, where we're seeing the immediate needs of feeding and sheltering and providing food and water, but that long-term recovery piece for getting people back in their home, that's going to be a multi-year process.
Yeah. Judd Johnson, Executive Director, Volunteer Louisiana. We're asking everybody to think about it, pray about it, talk to your family and friends about it, and see if there's something you can do to help people recover from Hurricane Ida, and also pray that there is not another hurricane that hits Louisiana this year.
Amen, Betsy. Amen.
We'll be right back, and we're going to be talking with John Roberts and Michael Adler about Mariposa Technology and what they're doing in the hemp industry from right here in Louisiana. We'll be right back on Rocket Right with Hurricane Betsy Barnes, and most of the time with Dr. Kay Solar. We'll be right back.